Hello everybody and welcome back to the Norries podcast. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Timmy Long.
Hi everyone.
And we have a full moon out tonight. And the man came in with a beard like a werewolf. Dan Sweeney, what's the crack?
Hello lads. That was a lovely intro. I was waiting for something crazy, alright.
But thanks for coming down to Little Island to meet us.
No problem.
Socially distanced in a beautiful studio. Thanks to Sharon again for letting us use her space.
Yeah.
But I know you, Dan. A lot of people know you. You're a bit of a celebrity on Instagram and that. But for the people that don't know you, who are you, where are you from, and what was it like growing up?
Okay. Firstly, thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure. I've watched and listened to all the podcasts, so it's cool to be here and meet you. You again.
Yeah.
And you for the first time.
Yeah. Because I was on your podcast.
You were.
Yeah.
We had a good old chat.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
We did it in the...
I'd say it was last summer in the Vienna Woods, was it?
Was it last summer?
Yeah. Lockdown Mark 1.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So my name is Dan Sweeney. I'm 31. I'm married with 2 kids, so life is over. I'm done.
Timmy can relate there.
Yeah.
Timmy gave me a look.
Yeah.
It was
What went through my head is there, like, you seem like 31 years of age and married, 2 kids. You seem well settled and mature.
I think you'll learn that I'm not the type to wait around, and I kind of like to just do things quick and get it done. So life is over. I grew up in Toker first, moved to Bishopstown when I was, I think, 12 or 13, and stayed there. I'm living in Wilton now with my wife and my 2 kids.
Yeah, Wilton's a grand spot. I stayed out in Eagle Valley there for a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm actually just down the road from...
Yeah, it's not a bad spot. It's grand and quiet out there. But so you were a bit of a footballer, were you?
I can play. Yeah.
Who are you playing with? School-wise?
So I started with a local club, Greenwood, in the south end, you know?
Yeah, I do, I know.
Sounds like you had a few battles, you know?
Yeah.
So I started with them up until probably 16 or 17. And I could always play, but I never kind of took the next step. I suppose I'm a loyal type person that when they were my local club, they were my dad's club and my granddad's club.
Yeah.
So I played with them from when I was maybe 6 till 16.
Did you ever come up to Knocknaheeny to play Newfarm?
Yeah, always lost.
Happy days. Newfarm were our local club. No, they're not a club anymore. It was never really a big club. The big clubs up there would be Temple United, Castleview, and then further out then you'd have Rockmount and Mary's.
Yeah.
But Knocknaheeny was Newfarm, wasn't it?
We had a club called Norvilla at one stage. Fuck it, if you've seen the gang goes, no. Whoever's, if any of the lads are listening now, they'll know. Like,
My dad was the manager.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was like fucking Gangster FC.
And if you were saying it, then
we were. Jesus Christ! I remember one day we were playing down in Park United. I was after being out drinking and drugging for about 3 or 4 days at this stage, and I was on the sideline drinking bottles, and I went into extra time, and I was told, "Come on!" So I went down anyway in extra time. And I scored the winning goal in the extra time. So I barely able to stand, like, Jesus Christ, with some crack.
Remember another day then, they were playing, Norville were playing up in the back road in Kilmore Road up by the reservoir, Knocknaheeny. And I came up and I was like, what's going on over there? I won't say his name now, like, but one of the players was chasing one of their players around the pitch. He owed the money for coke. Come back 2 years.
Jesus Christ. So that's your 2 memories of playing soccer, so?
Yeah, exactly. But no farm, happy days. I remember playing against Greenwood, but where was your position?
Mostly centre mid. I'm still laughing over these stories. It was just running away from me. That was the position. Mostly centre mid, but then kind of moved into centre back then as well for a small bit. But yeah, so I played with them up to I think it was maybe 16, 17. And then at that stage, there's the league creates a team to play against different leagues in different counties. So, the Cork League creates a team and we were playing against Dublin.
Like the Kennedy Cup?
Yeah, but it was an older age, so it was a Cork Youth League.
Okay, yeah.
So that team was brought together and you to do trials for the team and all that kind of thing. And it was a lot of the Cork City managers and management involved in that team and picking the team. So I was kind of maybe one of a few from the smaller teams, and it was mostly Cork City and and Cove Ramblers and things like that, trialing. Oh, yeah. But I knew I could play. I was at a good enough standard. I was the type of player that I'd run all day and I'd be strong and tough. I wasn't the most skillful, but that helped when you're in centre mid. So win the ball and just give it to the person who can pass the ball. So I got onto that team. And I was playing with that team for the year, and at the end of that year I was starting every game, and the manager, who was actually the manager with Cork City at the time as well.
Who's that?
Paul Bowdrum is his name. He was the manager of the under-21s, and asked me would I sign for Cork City the next year. And for me, someone growing up, I always wanted to be a soccer player. I always wanted to be professional. Now, I don't think I was ever good enough to make it across channel, but I know I could play at a standard that was maybe League of Ireland. But again, that type of player that would win the ball and just give it to the good people.
So there's a lot to be said for that, by the way.
There is.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? We've produced a lot of players in this country just like that.
Thinking Roy Keane, David Myler, Keith Fahey.
It was actually David Myler playing in centre mid with me when I was playing with the Cork League. But to look at the standard, I was here, he was way up there. But then when he goes to the UK to play, you just see the difference again. It's the next step up. So for them to ask me to, sign with Cork City at the time was a massive thing. And, it was a goal of mine for a long time. And I really started to think that, life is made now. I'm going to make it League of Ireland if I can, really work hard at it. And I never wanted to do anything else. Like in school, I was the type that I would get by, I would turn up. I was never a troublemaker. I was a messer, and I got away with, the teachers and having a bit of crack like that. But I never really wanted to do anything in school, or college was never a thing for me. It was always, I'm going to be a footballer. It was something in sport. So that was kind of my life goal.
And was it much of a big step up going from Greenwood to Cork Youths into Cork City?
Well, just before I signed with him, it was during kind of the summer break. I was just about to sign, and I played Gaelic football as well with St. Finbarrs in the south side again. And we had a very good team as well, and we were playing in the semi-final of the county under-21s, and second half of a game. I never got injured in my life. I never missed a game, nothing. And I jumped up to catch a ball, and I landed wrong, and my knee popped, and I snapped my cruciate in my knee. So it's cruciate ligament. It's basically the ligament that holds your thigh bone to your shin bone. So it's a type of injury that happened to Virgil van Dijk recently. So
Roy Keane.
And he was probably one of the first that people kind of heard of. So for a professional level, you'd be out for at least 6 months. If you're not professional, then it's 9 months, probably longer.
And some players don't come back the same.
Some players don't come back at all. And some players then wouldn't go through rehab, wouldn't put that much into their rehab, and they come back better than ever. It's just everyone's different. So for me, it was a massive blow. I was looking forward for the next year, and I was the type that I'd be training 2 times a day. I'd come back from school, and I'd go straight out for a run, do my homework, go back out, go for another run. I was obsessed. And to get that blow, then it was definitely tough that I had to miss the next year, and I came back too early. Then after that,
what age were you when the injury happened?
I think it was 19 when it happened the first time. I was 19. I was just the first year coming out of school. And it was just the summer I was supposed to, let's say, start with Cork City. So I missed that time. They still waited, and I came back. But when I came back, I wasn't the same player. You're just not the same.
There's a bit of fear there that the injury is going to happen.
It's funny. You think that you're going in and you're not fearful, but your leg isn't as strong, and you're going in and you're pulling out of things.
I was playing 5-a-side now in the All-Weathers or something. I was playing a tournament, and I went over on my ankle, and I did a ligament and cartilage damage on my ankle. But ever since then, I don't trust it. You don't go in the same way again. You know what I mean? It's a bit fragile, and it was never the same afterwards. And did you have that in the back of your head that it could happen again, type of thing?
Definitely. I think I was listening to what my physios and what trainers are saying, and at the time there was, I think, teams wanted to get me back as quickly as possible, and at the time as well, it wasn't really an injury that was well known about people, and it still changes so much in the medical profession. Things change so much, so the way they do the operation now is totally different to the way they did it. But they were trying to, basically rush me back and get me back as quickly as possible. And physios were saying I was okay to go, and trainers were saying I was okay to go, but I just knew I wasn't. I didn't feel 100%. So I came back too early, and within 3 months it was gone again. Had another operation and came back.
Same injury.
Exact same. So I was out for another 9 months again, and came back again. But the third time I came back, Sorry, the second time I came back, I didn't reach the same standard. You know, I'd say I played a full season with Cork City, but I just knew I wasn't good enough. I wasn't there. So I went back to my original club and played with another few smaller clubs as well.
How did that affect you, Dan, mentally? Like,
you just didn't, you know, I didn't know what to do because, again, I was going to be a professional soccer player. Again, not in the UK. It was just a thing of League of Ireland at the time was still a really good standard, and you can make a good living.
All your eggs were in that basket.
Everything was in that basket. And it was just, you know, I come from a really sporting background. You know, loads of different sports, so it was all I knew. So it was definitely hard to take, but I think, you know, it was happening over a long period. It was maybe 3 years that I said if it happened again, that was it. I'm not gonna get the operation, and it did happen again. It was maybe a year and a half later again, and it happened before a game. It was actually happened before a game I was going to play against my original club, Greenwood, and it happened in the warm up, something simple, and I knew it was gone, but I said I'm playing the game. Because otherwise it would be a thing of I pulled out because I was afraid to play. And I played a great game, even though I knew I was injured. I had the scan following week and it was gone again, and it's still gone. I haven't had the operation, but it's okay. I can, if I manage it, if I do enough weight work on it, if I stay running in straight lines, I can do long distances. But it's the quick turning is the thing.
How do they repair an injury like that? Like, for instance, I ruptured my Achilles there a while back, and there was 2 options. One was an operation, and I was told, like, I couldn't get the operation done because we were in the middle of a lockdown. So when I went to the hospital, it actually happened during a football game, soccer as well. I went back after a number of years, and it was like a balloon just went off in my body. It was
snapped.
Just, and it snapped. So I drove to the hospital, thought nothing of it. I thought it was a calf injury or something like that. Went to the hospital. I was there for ages, so I said I'd go home. I went to work the next morning with it. So I was putting down the floor, so I wasn't too bad. That's what I thought. But that night I went home, had my dinner, and I went into bed. I couldn't sleep, so I went to the hospital the next morning. The doctor told me, right, you're after rupturing your Achilles tendon, right? So it was after snapping, but we didn't know to what extent. So what they done was they just put my toes outwards, you know, and it was like, so they'd sew back together or whatever healing they could do. So there was 2 options, as I said. There was the operation and this, the heal like that, and they kept me in that cast. I was told I was going to go to the hospital after a week. I was in that cast for 4 weeks without seeing a doctor because of the lockdown again. And when I got to the hospital after the 4 weeks, the doctor says it's starting to sew back. It actually sews back, like the tendon sews. And they kept me in the cast for 6 weeks. And I'm still, James will tell you, I'm still. This was August, and I'm still not right. I'm still trying to. It's still tight. You know, I can imagine. So, what my point is that injury something that reattaches itself, or does it have to be an operation, or what?
No, it's an operation. Yeah. So it's basically the tendon. It's like an elastic band between the two. It's behind your kneecap, and it's connecting your thigh bone to your shin bone, basically. And what they normally do is they can go in and take a graft from your hamstring, or they can take another. They do it loads of different ways now. Loads of people have different operations. Some people get, you know, a cut all the way across the kneecap. So I got a few operations where it's, you know, small keyhole, but they can take it from different places. I think I got mine from hamstring, but it's never the same. Like some of it is definitely mental. It's a mental thing, but some is physical.
Remember Michael Owen?
Yeah.
Didn't he do a cruciate as well just before he went to the World Cup?
He did like cruciate and
the hamstring was fucked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the cruciate, like he never regained that yard of pace.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the same player because he relied on that acceleration, didn't he? And I heard him in an interview saying like he never even like wanted to run past defenders because he always had it in his head that the hamstrings are going to go, the knee is going to go. Yeah. So psychologically it has a big impact on your game.
Big time, yeah. Like for me, I can still run in straight lines. I've done ultramarathons and I've done long distances. Straight lines is fine, and at the end it starts to get sore. Like the doctor, the last surgeon I met, said that the bone on the inside of my knee is starting to wear away, and it will continue to wear away as I get older because it's there's so much injury to it. But something I just can't stop doing. I want to be able to do something. I want to be able to run, and if I manage it, it's definitely better.
Tell us about ultra marathons. Sounds very fucking ultra, doesn't it?
It's ultra marathon is basically anything longer than a marathon. So people kind of usually look at it as 50 kilometers upwards. So the next one I have is in, hopefully, June this year. It's in Belfast. It's a 24-hour race around a 1.6 kilometer track in Belfast. And you have to do it as many times as you can in the 24 hours. Whoever does the most wins, basically. Yeah.
How's your body? How are you after something like that? How's your body after? Does it take weeks to recover? Or are you just used to the running now?
It's funny. A lot of it is mental. If you do enough training, it's the head that gets to you first. I did a charity event. It was the end of 2019, I think. All the years now are mixed in with these lockdowns.
I know.
But it was 100 kilometers around the loch in 24 hours.
Was that for Edel House?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So we did that, and we raised, I think it was 30 grand at the time. It was amazing. But there was so many people came out to run with me as well. But I wanted to get 100 kilometers done in the 24 hours. But most of it is in the head, because your body will keep going, but it's the head that's just kind of saying, slow down or take a break. The next day after that, I was able to go for a run, or 2 days after that.
Do you know Eddie Izzard?
Yeah.
Did you see the marathons he's running lately? That's amazing, isn't it?
But
he's running a marathon every day for a few days. Like,
I think he's doing up to like 30 days, I think, is
30 days.
And he did it before.
And he's not a young man, like.
But I think it just shows, again, like if you looked at him, he's not a person who's in great shape.
No.
It's a lot of it is in the head, of course you need to have the training done. But if someone told you really need to run, 42 kilometers, if you have to run a marathon today, you will do it. But it's getting your head around that.
There's a guy there in the north of Ireland. His name is Steve McGowan.
Okay.
He's big into all these ultramarathons. He's actually a motivational speaker. He has his own thing going on up there in Fermanagh, I think. And I think he done 60 ultramarathons in 60 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You'll probably meet him up Belfast.
Yeah. He'd lap me 10 times. Like the standard I'm at, again, would be very basic in terms of something like that. But it's, for me, it's
goals,
more, it's more the mental challenge. Again, can I do that? I've never run a marathon. I've done ultras. I've done a lot longer, but I've never run a marathon. I don't know what it is. I just love the mental goal of doing longer, and it's never for time. Because I think, when it comes to marathons and shorter races, it's how fast did you do it in? And how quick was it, and you're comparing it to everyone else. Whereas for me, I want to do something that is testing my own mind to see if I can keep going when I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to get into, isn't it? At the moment, I'm started running within the last 10 days or something, around the Lee Fields. And this morning I ran 3 kilometres without stopping. That was my first time being able to do that.
Not bad,
but I upped that now to 4 and to 5, and just kind of build my stamina, but it's hard to get into. And I was like, when I started out, I just felt so unfit, because like the gym would be more my thing, but I'm kind of resigned to the fact now that gyms are obsolete and I need to find other avenues, so I got myself a Garmin watch and
there you run out your tech again?
But it's actually motivating me though, when I see when I was able to run around from the Kingsley car park up the riverbank and back down the straight road. It's nearly bang on 3 kilometres bang on that lap. So the first couple of times I had to stop once or twice, and then the second time I had to stop less. But this morning I didn't have to stop at all. But it's actually good motivation to see the progress, fucking a warm up now for an ultra marathon run.
I'd never look at a runner and think, I'm faster than you, or I could run further than you, because how I got back into running, I didn't run for, I'd say maybe 2 years. I was just doing gym work because that's all I thought I can do. But I just got so frustrated not being able to run, and doctors telling me I'd never run again. And I remember one day leaving my home in Wilton, and I was just I think I had a kind of a stressful day, and I just wanted to get out of the house. So I put on my runners and said to the wife, I'm going to go for a run. I might be back in 2 minutes. I've no idea. And it was probably the most painful run I was ever on, because my knee was throbbing, but I just had to go. And I think I probably only did maybe 2 kilometers. I have no idea, but it was sore. But I maybe left it 2 days and went again. And that was maybe 2 years ago. And fast forward 2 years and I'm able to run 100 kilometers, I'm able to run longer.
Long distances that long?
No.
Fucking hell, this.
But you'll be surprised now how quickly you said you did one lap, 3 kilometers. Like you'll notice that in 2 months, that 3 kilometers is like a warm up. Yeah. Running is one of those things that people think they can't do, because when you start, within the first 100 meters, you're panting. You're probably running too fast. Most people start off running too fast.
Do you know what is another thing there about running? Do you know, this has often happened to me, even if I'm on a treadmill. When I'm out running, my head starts saying, right, just do another mile now and you'll be grand, you'll be able to stop. It's like the physical ego is trying to stop you. Take care of the body. You don't need to run here at all. Take it easy, you know.
Yeah. It goes back to what Dan was saying about the mental battle is the hardest side of it.
Like the body will keep going for hours on end, and that's why I think if we all find your own way of getting through it. You know, some people listen to music, some people think about work, you know, some people do different things. But once you take your mind off what you're actually doing, then go for it. Like I'll often get messages on, you know, social media, or someone would ask a question, you know, what's the right way of breathing for running? I'm like, don't think about breathing. Like do you think about breathing on a daily basis?
Yeah, I know.
People go out and they start running and they focus on, you know, in through the mouth, out through the, or in through the nose, out through the mouth. But the more you think about that, then the more you panic. It's just go out and just go slow. Slow enough that you can have a conversation with someone next to you. And before you know it, you've done 20 minutes and you're on the road.
Do you know what's great as well? Do you know when you see people out running, big people, and you think, do you know what, fucking fair play to them, because it's better than sitting down and eating shit. You have to start somewhere, and it must be hard for people to go over. And I know for me, starting off running, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you're very unfit, but then you have to give yourself a break. Do you know what I mean? You have to start somewhere. But for bigger people, do you know, you see them out running, it's like, fucking hell, great credit is due to them people, do you know?
Running has definitely become way more popular, especially because of the lockdown as well. Things are closed, so people are going out for a walk, and then those people who were probably walking all the time and maybe did a bit of gym, now we're saying, I'm going to go for a run. And it's amazing to see, because it was a lot of men. It was mostly men who would go for runs. You never really see women. Now it's nearly more women than men would go for runs.
Remember the 5k challenge? The woman, she broke the world record there. She was from fucking England, I think. You know, you had to run 5k, and when you ran the 5k, post a screenshot of your progress on Instagram and donate to charity. But there was a lot of spoofs donating in bogey times. This one anyway, she put in the time, and it was better than some Kenyan ran in the marathon in the Olympics.
She got found out, I know next time.
Pure Instagram going, pure Instagram boy.
But it's because, like, there's a lot of virtual races now, you know, over the last few lockdowns. There hasn't been anything out yet this year, but again, it's just getting people out. If you know that on a particular day there's a 10k race and everyone around Ireland, or, you know, there's 1,000 people around Ireland doing it, then you'll do it as well.
I'll bring it back a little bit. So you got 3 bad injuries, cruciate ligaments. What happened then?
For me then, it was, you know, what do I do with my life now, kind of a thing. And I just went straight into sport. So, you know, a huge part of what I was doing in rehab was gym work. I had to just build up the strength. So I got a big interest in that. I was never in a gym before that. So I just became interested in that, and it was, you know, sports related. So I thought, you know, I'll go for that. So I trained as a personal trainer and as a nutritionist, and went into that world and into that industry. The first ever job I got was a gym manager in a hotel gym in Blarney, no experience. I was a good bluffer. So I just worked my way through those things. So I was gym manager, then moved to a gym in Carrigaline. And there was just something, you know, I always wanted to have my own thing. I always just looked to be the best at everything I'm doing, or to push myself as far as I can go. So I wanted my own personal training studio. And at the time, you know, your own PT studio in Cork was very unpopular. Now they're everywhere, which is great to see, but it's definitely harder for them. But at the time, there was probably only 1 or 2 other studios, so it was something I wanted to do. So I left that job and opened my own PT studio, and it was probably maybe just 2 times the size of this room. It was just enough space for me to train 1 person or 2 people. And it was, you know, something I just went straight into, and that's kind of where I found my interest in social media as well. You know, whereas I trained myself, and I, you know, taught myself how to create videos and edit, because I had to market myself having a studio. I didn't have the budget to, you know, get a marketing company in or people to create content. So I basically just searched on YouTube how to create these things. I started to market myself, and things became very busy. And I, you know, started to look at, will I now open a commercial gym, go from that PT studio up into the next thing again, because again, for me, it's something I want to do. I need to go bigger again. So I did that and hired, I think it was like 6 staff at the time, and opened a commercial gym with gym memberships. You know, before that, it was just someone would pay me to train them for that hour, and it was only me and them. But now it was membership, like a normal gym. So I had that for, I think it was 2 years. But I think when I was coming towards the end of the PT studio time, I was starting to get unhappy in what I was doing. And I thought I was, I need a new challenge. I need to open a bigger place again. Because I didn't really like my job. I loved the clients I had, but it just, it wasn't something I loved going into every day. So I thought, why not open something bigger and add more stress? So something I did, and, took out a big bank loan, put a lot of money into it ourselves. And I knew, 1 year in, I'm after making a big mistake here. The gym was really busy. It was flying. The staff were amazing. The clients were amazing. But again, I was nearly finding reasons not to go to work. Because as an owner of a business, you can kind of, if you've staff working for you, you can hide away if you want.
Yeah.
Will come back to bite you in the ass as well if you do that for too much. So I started finding myself, I leave a bit early and they can close up, or they'll open up tomorrow. Or,
your heart wasn't in it.
Yeah. Or, James, will you train that person now, because, I've loads to do.
Yeah.
But I had nothing really to do. It was just, I wanted to step away from it. But, I was in a tough place. I had big bank loans. I have staff, I have clients, but I also have a family then as well. And, it started again on top of me, and I'm a really happy person. I'm always a really positive person. It'd take a lot to get me down, but at the time I was really down, and I started, I think, maybe get depressed, and, it wasn't something I loved doing. And I started to, have the conversation with my wife, and I think she knew.
So you felt trapped?
I was trapped. There was nothing, what could I do at that stage? I had a business that had to keep opening up every day. I had massive loans that I needed to pay back. I need to pay the staff. Members have paid money to.
Need to honour
I couldn't just close. Well, you could have.
People
closed.
do.
So I was faced with a thing of. Sorry, to go back to that, I had the conversation with my wife, and, she was so supportive of me, and my parents were so supportive of me, and said, you need to do what you want to do to make, or, you need to do what you need to do, so that you're happy. And for me at the time, I wasn't happy, and it was such a weight off my shoulders when, I heard that from them, because, when it's inside your head, you think, if I say these things, people will just say, get on with it, you have to do this. Whereas I had amazing support around me where they said, who cares what people think, or who cares what happens, just do what makes you happy. So I was faced with a decision of, will I just close it down? Will I try to sell it? Or will I just keep going? And for me, keep going wasn't an option. I had to get out of it somehow. So I could close down the business, and I probably would have done better if I did that. But that wasn't something I wanted to do, because I had staff, I had members. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to take the hit. It was my decision. So I had to look for someone to buy it, and fortunately I did. But it also meant that I would have to file bankruptcy, because the money I was getting for the sale would not come close to covering the loans that I had.
Was there a big difference?
Big difference. But for me at the time, again,
it's the right decision.
It was the right decision. I didn't care. And I know that sounds bad.
No, it makes sense.
But I didn't, because it was such relief knowing that I was going to be out of this. Yes, I was going to be in a really difficult position, and I would really we would have to start again, because not just me, it's my family as well. We would have to start again. But I had my happiness back. So I was choosing between being miserable and having money, or choosing between that and being happy and being bankrupt. And for me,
it goes back to that thing.
Was the answer.
Peace of mind is the most important thing, and when you haven't got your peace of mind, it doesn't matter if your gym is doing great and the books are balanced. If you're not happy, you're not happy. And if you're broke as an ass but you're happy, and you're in a better place, because it's all about contentment and being happy. Life is too short to be dragging on with things you don't want to do.
Do you know what it's like? It's quite similar to, say, for instance, now you doing that PhD and making a big decision not to do it anymore. Or even me, even when I was doing my own degree, the weight that came off my shoulders when I was finished it, it was like, oh, Jesus, what do I do now?
Isn't it the best thing ever?
It's fantastic, like, and like what you said there is great for other people to hear, because they might be in a similar position as yourself at the moment, where they're stuck in a business like that, and they have financial problems like that.
Or stuck in a job. Stuck in a job you hate. You know?
That's why I first of all shared my story. I didn't share it for maybe maybe 6 or 7 months, just because it was still raw and I didn't want to just jump out and, you know, talk about it. It wasn't that I was ashamed. I wasn't one bit embarrassed about it. But that's why I did share it, because I knew so many people would be in a similar position. And once I put it out on social media and told my story and, you know, kind of let people know that it will be okay if you just fight through it. The amount of messages that I got from people that, you know, were in a similar position or were, you know, in the past, was frightening. And, you know, it was good to get it off my chest. But like you said, you know, the weight that you get off your shoulders. When that charity run I did, the 100 kilometers around the loch, it was on the 12th of October. So I finished at 9 o'clock on the 13th of October 2019. I went straight to bed at maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock, and got up the next morning at 5 on the 14th at 5 a.m. to get a 6 o'clock train to Dublin to go to the court for file for my bankruptcy. So it was 2 days before. And it was just, I didn't, you know, when I was doing that 100k run, it was a big thing that was on my mind. That was keeping me going through the whole thing, because I knew that was coming up in 2 days' time. But it was going to be such a relief off my shoulders that I remember getting off the train and I was late because the train was late. I actually had to jog from the train station over to the courthouse, which I think was about 3 or 4 kilometers. But my legs were so free, even though I'd ran 100 kilometers the day before, just because it was something I just wanted to get over with. Yeah. And as soon as I came out, I was on the phone to Neil Prendeville on Red FM to talk about the 100 kilometers just outside the court. And again, it was something, as soon as I came out, it was something I put behind me after that, and it's funny because when you messaged last week or a few weeks ago to ask me to come on, and I said what we chat about, and you said you heard I was good at football and that I had a bad injury, and we'll chat about that. That didn't even come to my mind when you said it, or when you said we'll talk about adversities or going through struggles. And my point is, there'll be so many moments in your life that at the time it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. You're at rock bottom. Life isn't going to get better than this. And I had that feeling, in my sporting days, that what am I going to do now? My life is over. But when you asked me what some of the toughest moments I've had, that didn't even come to my mind. I forgot about it until you mentioned. So, for anyone watching or anyone listening, there'll be moments in your life that you think that's it, that's rock bottom, nothing's going to get better. But if you just get up again the next morning and just continue to go on, so much can change in such a short space of time. That was 5-6 years ago.
You can take a hit today, that means you can live good tomorrow.
Exactly.
And it's about having that kind of long-term thinking, and like we can get very caught up in the here and the now and making money right now and having stuff right now instead of investing your time now in yourself, and everything falls in. Like I know from my own experience and my wife's experience and Timmy's life and everything, when you're good in yourself, all that other stuff falls into place very naturally. But when you're in a negative headspace, you'll only ever get negativity. I know it's fucking Conor McGregor, the secret stuff, but it's actually very true. If you're a positive person, good things happen for you. And I know for it to be true.
It's about throwing that positive energy out there as well, because you're going to attract similar people or people that are aiming towards the same thing. If you're down, if you're depressed, and you know what, it's not by anybody's fault that they're depressed. It's just they're going through whatever phase. Because I was there myself. I was depressed. I couldn't see a way out of where I was. But I just still got up every single day and I slugged on. I just kept pushing further, and I just would take that little small baby step of progression. I might go to see my counsellor or my psychologist or whoever it may be. I might read an article or something, or a page in a book, a self-help book, and it might just switch might go off my head. It's just keep moving forward. And there was something there was a phrase as well I learned in AA, and I swear and I still live by it, because it's ingrained into my mind, it's stitched into my mind. It's this too shall pass, right? If you can surrender into whatever adverse situation is going on in your life in any given day, just remember that it's not going to be the same tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be different, and if it is the same tomorrow, the next day it won't be the same. I never realised how bad things were when I came into recovery for me, because I would have never had any awareness to know what I had to deal with when I put down a drink and a drug, you know. But my road to where I am now was a slow paced walk, you know, because I needed that for me to grow as a person, for me to heal as a person, for all that stuff, all those difficult situations that happened in my life when I was young and older, and addiction and all the shit that I fucking done to other people and all this. I needed to do it nice and slowly. There was no quick fix, you know, there was nothing like that. And today I do have, where before I would have spent all my day negativity, now I spend most of my day happy. Like you said there, I had to work towards that happiness. It wasn't given to me. I had to work towards it. And there was therapy, there was AA, there was counsellors, there was just sitting down with sponsors, sitting down with people that I trusted and I could open up to, you know, and give my trust to all these different things. They're all paths to progression, you know. It's not something that we get unless you're Eckhart Tolle and it happens overnight and he just gets a spiritual awakening and he wakes up with this awareness, you know, which is fantastic, you know, but some of us have to go through stuff. There's a good friend of mine there, he would have struggled a lot a good few years ago, but he meditates every single day and he puts himself 100% into it, and he sent me a message today on WhatsApp, and it was just trust in your path, trust in your path, trust the way it's taking you, and just keep doing the things that are good for you, you know. Like for me, meditation is good for me. Don't lose track of it. Do it every day and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and building that awareness of yourself. You know, it's just the reason I'm going on a rant here on a tangent is I think this is very, very important for people to understand, because they might be in a really, really fucking dull, dark place, you know.
But most people will come into financial difficulty at some point in their life, or they might have businesses that are they're swamped under, or they might be in jobs that they hate and stuff like that. But life is too short to be just soldiering on like a martyr, like.
Like for me, like that's not one thing I'm not one bit embarrassed about. You know, financial difficulties is something. If someone asked me, I would talk about it, no problem. It's something I just kind of look at. That's another part of my life, something I've got past. We all have, you know, different difficulties. And, you know, I know that by me sharing it, there's a lot of other people out there that were, you know, maybe embarrassed about it, because, I don't know, I think in Ireland we're embarrassed to always talk about two things. One is money and the other is sex. And it's always that thing, you know, we can't talk about it. We won't talk about sex now today, we do that the next day. But money is one thing. But Tim, you said one thing there about, and I'm glad you said it, you said that, you know, every day you're spending most of your time positive, but there's still negative moments. And I think that's important to note as well, that, you know, yes, you guys can be looked at as positive now and you've got past it. And I know people will look at me as always positive, but there's going to be moments in everyone's day that are not so positive. If you went through every day as, you know, always positive, you'd be so annoying. That person would always be high, and, you know, they would be too much to deal with. So I think it's important to note that it's okay having negative moments and difficult moments in your day as well. And you talked about going through your journey, and it was slow paced. I think it's important for people to know as well that, you know, time goes really fast. Like it's the end of January now, nearly into February. We're almost a year into this lockdown. I know we say lockdown 3, but it's the one lockdown really. We're nearly a year into it, but look how fast that time has gone. It only seems like yesterday that they were cancelling the Patrick's Day parade.
That's right.
We're
talking about that now again.
Yeah, they just cancelled them again last week.
Yeah.
You know, so time goes so quickly. I know sometimes when you're stuck in a moment, you think that it's going to take so long to get there. But as you get older, time goes quicker. Remember, like when you're a kid, when it came to like the 1st of December, wait for Christmas, it seemed like it was years because you're waiting for Santa to come. But now, Christ, it's a year goes past like a day now.
Do you know what I think helps with the positivity as well, or helps to build your positivity? Them negative experiences and that adversity, because, you know, when you come through that and you get into it, you become happy again. You just get gratitude that you're not in that shitty place no more. Like if you're in the depths of it and you've the pressure of staff and their families, your own family, banks, and when you actually box that off and move on, it's like a weight lifted, then you're fucking hell. And gratitude, and that gratitude is what gets you through the day, and that gratitude is what brings other opportunities in your path. And when you before we move on to what you're doing today, what's the lived experience of bankruptcy? What does it actually mean? What's the nuts and bolts of it? In terms of like what kind of...
What can and can't you do?
Exactly,
So when you're declared bankrupt, it was, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it was like 9 years you were bankrupt. Then they brought it down to 5 years because, you know, it was difficult for people to get out of it. Now it's 12 months. So I officially came out of bankruptcy last October 14th. It was like a celebration. It was like graduation.
Brilliant.
But it was amazing. Yeah, it was a really good day to, you know, just get past that period. But it, you know, it basically means that, you know, you can't, I think the figure was you can't go for a loan that's more than €600 without, you know, letting the revenue officers know first. And, you know, there's a few rules and regulations around it, but I had an amazing accountant that helped me get through it. That's one thing I want to know. Actually, if you're in a situation like that, I know I was, and you know, you think, you know, where do you go now? Like that's something I maybe need to do. Where do I go? There's a lot of people in Cork that can help people out. If you just Google it again, you know, bankruptcy Cork or something, there's a lot of services in Cork to help you, and they will do all the work for you. It's not as easy as, you know, you just go in and they get it done for you. It's a long process, but you know, don't think that you're by yourself or you're in it yourself. And if someone wanted to throw me a message and ask more about it, if they're a bit embarrassed about you know, getting on that road, don't be. I'd only be happy.
What about for future credit?
Yeah, it can affect. But
is it something you have to declare after the 12-month period?
It's something that you will, again, I'll have to check. I'm not 100% sure. I think it will be something that they will ask. You don't have to declare it because I'm no longer, like I'm not bankrupt now. Yeah. But if I went into a bank, it will be something that they ask you, have you been ever declared bankrupt? But it'll affect you if, you know, if your numbers weren't correct and if that was the last straw, then of course it will affect you. But if you're, you know, your figures are okay, if you're going for a mortgage and everything looks good and, you know, you've balanced books for a few years.
It's not the end of the world, like.
No, it's not the end of the world. And that was something, you know, again, to go back to my accountant, he was amazing with that, you know, you go in, and I wasn't embarrassed in myself or to talk to my family or friends about it. But you go into an accountant, the money man, and you're sitting down in front of a table, and sometimes that can be hard. You're sitting there, and you know they're dealing with people who are probably dealing with millions at times, and you're declaring bankruptcy, and you think that they'll almost look down at you. But he was so supportive, and you know, he was just like, "Don't worry about it." He's like, you know, said that people are declared bankrupt every day. And your number was small, even though it's still a lot. It's not millions. He said people have declared bankruptcy, you know, 30 million, 50 million. He said this is, you know, small fish in a pond for them. So he really, you know, made it really easy for me, and you know, it was easier for me to go in and meet someone like that. So, you know, I think it's important for people to remember that they're not the only one. When I went up to the court that day, it's a strange one. You think you're going to go in and, you know, meet the judge, and it's just going to be you. But there was, I think, maybe 40 people there, and I was number 14 to stand up, and they just call out your name, and that was, you know, that's basically you have to say, you know, yes to certain things and no to certain things, and you're there for 30 seconds and back out the door again. But it's funny, like I have a tattoo on my arm, 14, the number 14, and my wife actually did the tattoo. She drew it and she tattooed me with it, but it's a number that has come up for me absolutely everywhere, and it's always been good, positive things, like, you know, kids born in those things, and you know, even the time 12:02, 12 and 2:14, you know, loads of bits like that throughout my whole life. But when I got the letter to go to Dublin for my bankruptcy hearing, it was on the 14th of October. I was number 14.
For fuck's sake.
And I was in courtroom number 14.
Stop.
Yeah. But I told that story to my accountant as well. They were just, you know,
that's mad, isn't it?
It was crazy, yeah. So it was something that when I opened it, it was something that I laughed about. But I knew I was on the right path then again.
That's amazing. Like,
it was cool, yeah.
That's very freaky though, that 14 thing, isn't
scares
it?
me,
I keep seeing the 11:11 constantly, and
that's
I was speaking to a lady there recently about it, and she said, whenever that number comes up for you, just look at what you were thinking at that moment, or what you were doing, and just question whatever it is.
Yeah, what's the meaning? Because
it's a purpose. There's something behind it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have been doing it, and no, this was coming up a lot.
It can be freaky,
yeah. You know, it wasn't just every time. You know, I do quite a bit of meditation as well, and I always look at the other side of it as well through meditation, and there's definitely something behind numbers like that if they keep popping up for people, certain people.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be someone now that would be clairvoyant or any of these other, can't see things or anything like that. But I know that there's definitely something beyond everything else.
I think so too, yeah.
Because I've had meditations there where the peace and the relaxation that I get from it and the bliss, just pure love and just, you know, it's a different level to what you feel in your everyday life with your family and your kids and stuff like that.
There's more to the world than what we can perceive with our senses.
It's unbelievable.
But I love the two of you can talk about stuff like this on the podcast, or me here as well. You know, 3 men and 2 big, strong men across me that are, you know, able to talk about your feelings and talk about meditation. You know, it's like 20 years ago, that's not something that men would have really done, or even probably 10 years ago. But it's amazing that, you know, you can do it and you're comfortable doing it, because it does help people. Men especially, are more open to come out and talk about their feelings then.
Do you know what's great about that? My nephew plays for Rockmount, right? And I was at one of his matches when they were allowed last year, around the autumn, and 2 men came over to me separate times, and they watched the podcast. Men now in the middle age, like, suffering bad with depression and anxiety, and they come over and disclose a lot of stuff to me, but they wouldn't talk about it to their families or friends or colleagues or anything like that. But they still, like, just because men don't talk about it, men still suffer with all this stuff too, do you know what I mean? So it's great to have a conversation starter, like something like this, you know what I mean? And it's not all, like, you're not anything less if you file for bankruptcy, if you've used drugs because of your mental health, if you're depressed, or if you can't go to work because you're mental, that's not a weakness, it's just a part that can be dealt with, and it can, you know, that you can move on from too, you know.
That's the part,
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that was the main reason for starting this, was to show the people that have been in similar positions to myself and James, to you, to everybody else that's been on in the last few months, that there is a way out of whatever you're going through. Yeah. You know, there's always a way out. There's more possibilities. There's just, you have to pick yourself up and get over that kind of shit that's going on for you, you know.
I actually find that, you know, you have to be a lot stronger to come out and speak about your feelings than, you know, not speak about it. It takes a lot of strength for someone to come out and open up about something that they're, you know, maybe a bit self-conscious about or worried about. You know, it takes a lot more strength. So I think, you know, if people think about that, sometimes it can give them the strength to step out, because it's easier. Don't want to say it's weaker to keep it in, but it definitely takes a lot more strength to speak out.
Definitely. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Mix of loads of things. I'm still working for myself, which I absolutely love. I've a studio at my parents' back. It's kind of like this actually, in the same shape. But so what I do is I basically create content on social media. So I create videos and pictures for brands and companies. So, you know, some of the content will live on my own Instagram page. Some of the content I create for, you know, brands' pages that they use on their own, you know, accounts. So it's like digital marketing or content creation.
And I follow your Instagram. I'm not a big consumer of Instagram. We have our own page that we're kind of just getting started, really, you know, but I'd be more stronger on Twitter. But your videos are great. There's just some of the stuff that you're on, I'm not interested really, but everything just looks so clean. You're entertaining, you're easy energy, even talking to you here, you've got a great energy, and when you're on your videos, it even comes across there, so the videos are great, and you're going to run on tutorials and trainings coming up, aren't you?
Yeah, it's funny, like, people are definitely a lot more interested in creating content now for themselves, and both of you spoke about it before the podcast. And it's definitely something that's becoming a lot more popular. People love being able to just, you know, pick up their phone and be able to create videos. So what I do, just in case people are wondering as well, when you're talking about your videos, it's basically vlogs. So I create like a mini movie of my day. But the reason I do it is, it's almost like not a mini, I suppose. It's almost like a family album for me to look back in 10 years' time. So the footage I create, or I take every single day, I put it onto a hard drive and I store it. So I can look back in 10 years' time and look at these mini movies that I've created with myself, my wife, and my kids. You know, because things change so quick, like the way they laugh or the way they talk, walk, their personality changes so quick. So for me, you know, when you're looking at a picture, you can see a certain person, and some people will look at a picture and, you know, judge people differently, or they'll remember something different. But video is totally different. You're getting the picture, but you're getting sound, you're getting a sense of a feeling of what it was like. So that's why I love creating them. And it definitely helps with my business then as well. People can see the stories I can tell, and that I'm good at telling stories of, you know, when nothing's really happening. And brands will contact me because of bits like that. So it's something I love doing.
You take everyday situations and you make them entertaining by adding different angles, different lenses, a bit of music, and next all of a sudden Dan is going to the shop and I want to see what Dan is going to the shop for. Do you know what I mean?
It was something I did. I did it last year as well, and I did it 260 or 270 days in a row. But work was just manic towards the end of last year, and I just needed a bit of a mental break.
Is it time consuming, the vlogs?
It's time consuming, but again, if you manage it, it's not like I'm going around all day. I try to think of what am I doing today that's some bit interesting or some bit different, and I just try to tell a small bit of a story about that. So you can manage your time around it. But I did it last year, and you know, I got to a stage where I wasn't trying to be more creative with it. It was just something I was doing, so I took a break. But now when we kind of went into this new lockdown again, shall we say, it was just something I wanted to challenge myself with again, because we're all doing the same thing every day. None of us are doing anything. We're kind of staying inside, probably grabbing a coffee, going for a walk or a run, and that's pretty much it. So I wanted to, you know, test out my own creativity, see what I could create out of nothing.
I have a good one for you. One of my small fella, he's 9. He doesn't watch this, thankfully. But one of his Christmas gifts came today.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Brexit job, is it?
Yeah. So Nicole rings me and she says to me that one of his gifts is after arriving, and she says, "What'll I do with it?" I says, "Keep it there and wrap it. And when I come home, I'll take the ladder out and I'll pretend that there's something blocking the moss coming down the gutter." So off I went anyway. I came home, got the ladder, put the ladder out the back. He man is inside in the kitchen sitting down, doing something, and I said, "Jeez." You know, I make sure he can see me out the window as well. I said, "Jesus, Cole, there's something here in the gutter here stopping all the water from coming down." And I made sure there was a bit of water on it as well, and I passed it in. And I said, "Give that to your mum." He went over, she says, "That's not for me at all. What's that?" So he opened it, and it was one of his gifts from Christmas.
Brilliant, yeah.
And the smile that was on his face, like,
that's a memory. He'll have that memory forever, like.
And you wouldn't believe what they were. There were these Lego AK-47s guns.
He's daddy's boy.
They were gold in colour, but he loves Lego, and he sets up all these on the table. He sets up the Lego. You know, they'll be having little wars and battles and stuff. And he had skeletons as well, and he wanted these golden guns to be hanging off the skeletons. But you know, it would have been a fantastic kind of video or something like that to create.
Did you take one?
No, she fucked. You know,
that's something I would love. I'll have to call out your house now next time we take a video.
Something like that. No, I'm kind of. I don't really like James. Really deals with all the videos and stuff. Me, I'd be either too busy or I don't know how to do it.
You're the talent. James is the worker. Then I get it.
But yeah, I just said I'd
that's
share that story.
But no, but stuff like that. That's what I love. Because you have that in your head, which is amazing. You'll always have it.
Yeah.
But you'd love to be able to watch it on a screen and show them when they're older as well. Like I've clips of the kids when, you know, even 3 or 4 years ago, and they're just great to look back on because I forget them as well.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we're only able to store so many things in our brain that we look back at something and remember what something was like. You know, I'll always record them on Christmas morning and stuff like that. I don't post that on social media really, but you know, just being able to record all those bits, they're great to look back on.
You have your own podcast with Trisha.
Yeah.
How did that start and how's that going?
We haven't done it now in a while
over
because
lockdown.
of Trish is kind of living on the border of Limerick and Cork, so it's a lot more travel for her. But
she was meant to come on here,
really,
but she contacted me the other day, and we're in lockdown, and there's no pressure on anybody to come. You know what I mean? Yeah. The people that we've had on here are literally living around the corner, type of thing. Raw City people, you know.
Yeah.
But how did you start that, and how's it going, and how do you find podcasting?
Podcasting is tough. Like, I have to give you credit that it's you know, doing it every week. It's not easy. Like, there's a lot of planning to it. Of course, it's that bit easier once you press record and then you start chatting and it's just a conversation. But there's a lot of planning before it. So well done.
Thank you. But we often talk about that, you know, like when people watch this, right, they're going to say, fuck it, that's great. But the amount of work that goes into the cameras and getting everything together and organising phone calls and texts, and no, you didn't order yellow only M&Ms or anything like that. Anyway. But and we haven't had any divas. No, but you know what? There's more to it than the other people see. So it's great to have the acknowledgement. Thank you.
I'm like that. I'm laughing because I'm like that in my work. You know, I could spend a full day working on a video for a client and it might be 15 seconds long, and I'll go in, and my wife is always the first person I show it to because she'll be as honest and tell me if there's something not great. And I'll go in and show it, and you know, I'm waiting for that one thing that I've been working 2 hours on, and she won't even notice it. And you're like, really? Did you not see that part? And you're waiting for this. So it's the same with the podcast. But yeah, so with Trish, I suppose how it started was my wife actually did Trish's hair. My wife is a hairdresser, so you know, she did Trish's hair for months and months, and then so they got friendly, and you know, I met Trish then through that, and Trish did Cork Mini Marathon, Cork's women's mini marathon, and she was the ambassador for that last year, 2019, I can't remember what year. So she asked me to create a video for her. So we just got friendly doing that, and she wanted to start a podcast. I talked about it, and it just, you know, it just happened. But that was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like,
You're a great fit.
Fun. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, there's a great energy with you. And I remember when Trisha contacted me after I was on the telly, I didn't know who you and Trisha were because I wasn't even on Instagram. You know, I was just I had a page, but Twitter was my thing. You know, and you're not really active on Twitter.
No.
So when Trisha contacted me, I seen the blue tick and I looked at my page with 140,000 followers. It was this one. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when people contacted me, a lot of media contacted me after me on the telly, I just said no to everybody because I was a private person and I wasn't used to all the attention. And you know, Timmy, you know yourself, when you give your story like that, you can feel a bit raw afterwards, and you just want to kind of crawl under a rock for a few months. But then when I went back to Trisha and I met you out in Vienna Woods, and I really enjoyed that podcast, and I got great feedback from your followers, you know. They're a lovely bunch of followers, so credit to you, but you're a lovely bunch of people, so I'd expect nothing else.
But you know, when you say like lovely followers, etc., I think you always get back what you put out. You know, if you're like a fun or energetic or positive person, those kind of people will want to see more of you. That's what I always find, and you create a connection with those kind of people then, because that's what they want.
People want entertainment.
Exactly, yeah.
They want to be entertained, and if they're not being entertained, they'll move on.
But they want the genuineness as well, and they want somebody that's like, it's not an act, and there's no facade, and it's not forced. You know, it's just when your videos, you're with your family, it's all very natural. You know, and when people watch myself and Timmy, like we have our regional accents, and sometimes we curse and we talk.
Didn't even notice them.
But you know what? We know who we are, and we don't try to hide it.
Yeah.
But that's what people want. There's enough fake shit on social media. This isn't fake, and neither is that, you know. So
I talked about that before as well in a video, the Cork accent. And it's funny, the north side of Cork and south side is totally different. But like, I've definitely had comments before about my accent as well on social media, but you know, never negative, but just you know, you've a really strong Cork accent. And my response is always, I'm from Cork.
What else?
It's that thing of Cork accents. People are like, oh, I don't really have a Cork accent, do I? And like, I'm proud of it. Cork.
I said that myself to Nicole a few times.
Really?
I have a strong accent.
Oh, really?
She'd look at me and say, what? Jesus Christ.
But you know, people from Liverpool like love their accent. It's so much stronger than here. But I think we just have to embrace that.
I think we do
just
too.
Be true to yourself.
And that's what I think the beauty of podcasts is, and having your own media content, because we don't all sound like RTE news presenters, you know. And like, embrace your regional accent, embrace your own
and embrace
culture.
your vocabulary as well.
Yeah,
that's a very important factor. And we had Lynn Rowan on at one stage there, and she spoke about that. She says, you don't have to know every single word in the dictionary, and I don't. You know, I try to use what words are in the vocabulary I have, and try to articulate what I mean at times with what limited words I have, you know, and that's a big thing. And when she said that, do you know what? I say what I have to say with what words I have, you know, in my vocabulary, and it's okay. And if someone doesn't like it, they don't like it. That's okay with
she's
me.
She's a senator. She's from Tala, but she's very outspoken, and she's very popular as well, because like having somebody from a council estate in the Shannon is not common, and she doesn't try to hide who she is, and she'll go in there with her Air Max and her tattoos and all that. But she was talking to me and Timmy, and she says like she has a great vocabulary, but sometimes her accent will come out very pronounced or something, and this snobby politician up there says to her, "Sorry, Lynn, you said that wrong." She says, "Well, you fucking know what I meant in that."
Do you know what? She have a fantastic book out as well. I read her book. It's called People Like Me. You know, it just explains. It's very similar to myself and James's story, how someone can really change their whole life through education and just moving on into different things, but still holding who they are as a person.
To keep your roots,
you know.
like.
That's like a level of comfort as well, when you can just be comfortable and
you're not trying to be anybody else.
I don't know why people try to change that. It's something I always say, that's why people find it hard to speak to a camera, or talk on social media, because when they see themselves for the first time, they say, "Geez, is that how I really look? And is that how I really sound?" And it's tough shit. That is the way you look, and that's the way you sound. You just have to embrace that.
Embrace it and love yourself.
Exactly.
And try to. No, I say this now, but it's actually one of the hardest things on planet Earth for people to actually love themselves. It's a process that we might have because we were taught it as young kids and we were constantly loved in everything else. But those of us that didn't, it's a process that you just have to go through on your every day, and it might take a long time for you to actually love. And when you love yourself and you're happy with yourself, you are not going to care what way you look in the camera or how you sound or how everybody else, or how people think. So
I've definitely got a comment like that before where I know I'm comfortable on camera. I do it every single day for my work and for other people's work. And when you wear, then people will say, and I've had the comment before where someone was said, you love yourself, or you're definitely septic, and it's like, of course I love myself. Isn't that something that you want to achieve in your lifetime? And I have no problem saying that again, because loving yourself, I think sometimes people look at it as looks and the way you look at yourself from the outside, but it's not that. Loving yourself is the way you love yourself from the inside, and everything about you, flaws and all. And I think that's
there's
important.
different meanings really to it, other than like there's arrogance loving yourself as well, and cocky loving yourself. But loving yourself and just trying to love everybody else around you without being arrogant or too cocky or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's important as well to know that if somebody ever says something like this, it's really not trying to be arrogant or cocky or anything. It's just, this is who I am.
I have a few questions for you from the audience.
Okay, I wasn't prepared now for these.
I was a member of Dan's gym a few years ago, Roger.
Okay.
Would you ask him what he thinks of the fitness industry today, now that there is more anabolic steroid use among the younger generation? Love the podcast.
To be honest, I thought there would be a lot less now. I haven't been in the fitness industry in maybe 4 or 5 years now, so I definitely thought there would be less now because there's a bit more knowledge and education out there.
What's your thoughts on anabolic steroids in general? Or?
I would be against them, totally against them. It's just, I don't know if there's enough research out there for it. Again, it's going to be popular. It's popular in sports.
Did you come across it in your gym?
No, never.
There's certain gyms would have the reputation, and then other gyms would be seen more kind of family.
That would have been the type of gym I had, was more kind of fun fitness rather than heavy lifting. It was only up to a certain weight. It was now a bodybuilders type thing. Again, I'm not educated enough on steroids to talk about it or to bash them. But what I will say is, I'm not surprised that someone wants to achieve more or look different. It's the same for men and women. Men will take things to maybe make themselves bigger or look different. Women will do the same thing.
What's the difference between injecting testosterone into your glutes and injecting lip filler into your mouth? It's the same thing. You're using external stuff to enhance your appearance, and as long as you're using external stuff to fill a void, and we spoke about this before. It will never end.
Yeah,
it will never end because the lip filler will only go so much, and then it'll be something else. The testosterone will turn into a fat burner, will turn into, before you know it, you're going to get complications. You know? So it's just, it's not downplaying anybody that uses them or anything like that. You're entitled to do what you want to do. It's your life. Just have to be aware of the dangers that might come further down the line.
There's a health consequences as well to all that stuff. Even steroids, like there's some stuff, even mental health. You know,
that's what I would say. It's just I wouldn't know enough on it. If you said to me, and if there was enough scientific evidence that all this type of thing was 100% safe and there was never any complications, then there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't know if that's the case.
I would have used them. I would have used
Really?
steroids when I was younger. I would have used them, and listen, I didn't know who I was back then. And I would have used them for the quick fix to make me bigger and make my image look a little bit more intimidated. But I haven't used them in a long time. And I'm very lucky that there wasn't. My physical health is good still. That didn't affect me, but I know some people that has affected.
I can imagine.
I think there's another podcast there anyway for us in terms of that's a topic that we need to discuss. But we'll move on anyway.
Without judging anybody,
of course.
Never
any judgment here, boy. Unless you start talking about Liverpool now, but we won't go there. But Vivian McCarthy says. She remembers you from your modelling days.
Oh, Jesus! You never said that.
I wasn't planning on saying Do you know Viv well?
I don't know her at all. I just Instagram friends, that's all. Okay. But she seems like a nice person.
Yeah. She does, yes. Throwing that in there now as well. I would definitely dabble in that when I was, I think, maybe like 18 to maybe 23, 24 again. Again, something, in Ireland that people, especially a man doing it, again, it's a thing that he must fancy himself if he's doing it. But, it was things...
But listen to me, Dan. If you're a handsome man and you are a handsome man, and you get opportunities because you're a handsome man, take the opportunities. You know what I mean? Make no apologies for your good looks. You're in good company here, I might add.
Yeah, if you're getting paid anyway.
No, I've done things before where it's... and you know what? I laugh about it now because... They were like stock photo shoots. So I'd be turning up I could be doing like a really fun gym one for a brand on a particular week. Then the next week I could be a baker. So I could be wearing a full baker suit, maybe pictures of me holding bread and me and maybe a lady model and we're looking at bread again. But those pictures are everywhere now still. That they're on sites where. If you have a baker's business, you can go on and purchase that image to use it for your marketing. So I get sent stuff every now and again with, I might be a baker, I'm a scientist in another one, so they use for marketing. So if you see those out there, they're from a long time ago.
That's gas. But look, we're actually going to have to finish it up because the cameras only go for so long. Thanks a million. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Dan.
It's been great chatting with you, and I hope you enjoyed it.
No, it was a pleasure. It really was. I've watched so many of them now. I was only waiting for the call and I couldn't believe it took this long.
No. But I think it'll help a lot of people that's watching the podcast because we all come into financial difficulty at times, and it's great to give your experience, and thanks for being so open and honest with us. And I hope your followers enjoy the rest of our episodes, and I hope my followers enjoy your episodes.
Thank you.
So it's a mutual thing as well. So thanks a million. Thanks Timmy. Thanks for rowing on the decks, and I see you all next week. Slán leat.
Thank you, everyone.